Carson. This is Ed McMahon along with Doc Severinsen and the NBC Orchestra inviting you to join Johnny and his guests, Liberace, Bill Maher, and Cleo Goldsmith. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny.
Be honest. You have. That's very nice. Now be perfectly honest. Were you applauding or fanning each other? Warm out here today.
Yes.
That's very nice of you to do that, even though we do have a sign.
Oh.
See, the home audience thinks you're doing this just because you feel like it. We have a sign up here that's a threatening. I should explain to the home audience. They have a sign on their side that says applause, right? I have a sign over here. You can't see it. It says fake humility. Hey, well, you sound good tonight. Last night we had I don't want to say bad audience. They were mean. Kind of a group that would call up Colonel Gaddafi and ask him if he's going to be home this evening. I thank you for coming in tonight. It's air conditioned. It's hot out here, isn't it? We're having a heat wave. A tropical heat wave. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Isn't that the way that goes?
That's it.
Was there a song like that? Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Tropical heat wave. Temperatures rising, it isn't surprising. All right.
Hold it! What is this?
It's that
Boy, you get that blue suit on, you're lighting the loafers. I have a feeling it's going to be a weird show tonight. I don't know why.
What were you saying?
I don't know what I was talking about.
Heat wave.
They just cut an album over here. It was so hot in the valley today. Clerk in a photomat booth had to be basted with barbecue sauce and turned over. It's hot out here. To give you an idea how bad the smog was today, Pasadena pulled out of the Olympics. We complain occasionally about the weather out here, but you have to admit, Southern California probably has, all year round, the best weather. The sunshiny today, a little hot. Now look at back east. Well, they got what? The south has floods. The east has got freezing rain and so forth. Hurricanes somewhere. California, we get all that in one day and go to the beach the next day. Hell, Los Angeles is the only place in the country where you lose your tan while you're being treated for pneumonia in the hospital. Weird. Well, as you probably know, more countries are falling out now. Russia, of course, you know, is boycotting the Olympics, and something I don't understand. We live in a strange world. We got a war in El Salvador, right? Unrest in the Mideast, threat of nuclear annihilation, and the big question on everybody's mind is, will Alexis go to prison for murder one? You see that show?
Yeah.
Dynasty?
Ooh.
I love watching that show.
Me too.
It used to be my house. Anyway, no, it's not true. There was a item on the teletype a little while ago. Transylvania is boycotting the Olympics and withdrawing their neck-biting team. You know, in a further attempt to embarrass the United States today, the Soviet Union pulled their Russian comedian, Yuri Youngman, off Star Search. Yuri Youngman, yes. He works the improvisational club in Moscow, the Commie Store. And Soviet Premier Konstantin Chernenko got some more bad news today. The Sunset Marquis Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard refused to refund his $85 deposit. See, if I'd have got the joke out cleanly, I might have had a shot at that. You know that Bulgaria is not coming either?
Yep.
Now, what is the Olympics without the Bulgarian yodeling team? I mean, it's a great team, highly developed skill. You have to yodel in 4/4 time with a mouthful of mutton. Not easy. Not easy and not funny. You're having a good time, aren't you, lady? Lady in front's enjoying my death here. Okay, I want to take a little poll. How many of you watched President Reagan's address last night? No, maybe you didn't hear me. How many? Wait a minute.
Have them applaud. They're raising their hand.
You're raising your hand, excuse me. Okay, now we'll really get a reading.
Yeah. This will be thunderous. This will be thunderous.
Applaud if you saw the president's address last night. Mrs. Reagan, Ron Jr. Well, that's not going to make him too happy, is it?
No.
Anyway, he was asking for more money for El Salvador. This went over big, of course, in the Bronx, which has been at war much longer than El Salvador. Anyway, here's something interesting. I talk about California. The weather is good. Maybe that's one of the reasons. They just conducted a study, and according to this report, California high school students did poorly in reading, spelling, and mathematics. Believe that? Think it's the weather? Might be some truth. I know today in Malibu, a geometry teacher asked a kid to define a triangle. And he said, my mother, my father, and his mistress. And then a history teacher asked a girl what happened at Anzio Beach. And she said, my boyfriend got wiped out on an awesome wave. She said, okay, let's try this. You ready to dance again? Yeah. It's another laboratory study. They found out using white mice. White mice are really getting a bad press lately. They did a study. They found when laboratory mice are offered alcohol, the same percentage become alcoholics as humans. Isn't that fascinating? Also, they found that the same percentage of white mice try to hit on the cocktail waitress after 2 drinks. You're having a heat wave. What's going on? You just give him a cue and he's off. That's like flying down to Rio. No, you don't know that one, right? No, you don't know that one. Well, the finalists will be back on Dance Fever in just a moment. Liberace is here tonight. Lee is here. We have very funny young comedian Bill Maher is here. And young lady, I've seen pictures of her. She is a stunning young actress from Europe. Cleo Goldsmith is with us tonight. So stay where you are. We'll be right back. Thank you.
We just moved in and have a million things to do. Where should we start?
Ask Sherwin-Williams. Start off at your Sherwin-Williams store during our million-gallon sale. Quality Classic 99 interior paint is just $9.99 a gallon, and A100 exterior paint is just $10.99. Even brushes, ladders, and wall coverings are part of our million-gallon sale. And we'll give you decorating help, too.
Thanks a million, Sherwin-Williams.
So before you start... Ask Sherwin-Williams.
Mommy, will you read me a story?
Which one?
What's that?
Your daddy gave it to me.
What for?
Our anniversary.
Do you like it?
Oh, I love it. It felt as if It was the most wonderful feeling. Like when I was 20 and your daddy asked me to marry him.
Did he say yes?
Of course. You've got the greatest daddy in the world.
The diamond anniversary ring. The gift that says you'd marry her all over again.
The star performer of the new movie Cannonball Run 2 is none other than the Mitsubishi Starion, the fuel-injected turbocharged sports car with down-to-earth performance. And for a limited time, see how you can lease a new turbocharged Starion LS for only $219 a month. Hurry over to your participating Mitsubishi Motors dealer today and meet a 2,900-pound movie star in person.
You've been talking to us plants for years. Now it's our turn. We don't mind the sweet little names and the classical music, even that fishy stuff you feed us. But to be honest, all we really need is water. And Oxygen Plus. It gives us food and aerates our soil, too, which helps us grow bigger and greener. Every time you water, feed us Oxygen Plus. It's the plant food we root for.
Oxygen Plus. It breathes life into your plants. We guarantee it.
We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. Can. Doc is in a silly mood tonight.
Yes.
The moon is, it's not a full moon, it's like a half moon.
Yeah.
And he's half silly.
That's right.
Liberace is here tonight, Bill Maher, Cleo Goldsmith. We have done this twice before. Let me give you a little background of what you're going to see. I have not seen these myself. A fellow by the name of Len Sella, I think from Philadelphia, back east, started putting these little miniature motion pictures together. Some of them are 15 seconds, some of them are 30 seconds. And he calls them moron movies. Now, Len Sella is not a professional entertainer. He is just a fellow. I don't know what he does actually for a living. Anybody know? He's a carpenter? He what? Oh, he's a house painter. So he put these crazy little things together. And in case you missed the last two editions, let me explain some of the titles of these short, off-the-wall films. How to Reuse Oddball Food was one of them. Wide World of Sport, Lamp Wrestling. And How to Know If You're Ugly. These are some of the titles. So we got about 2.5 minutes here. If you'll watch the monitors in the studio, please enjoy Len Sella's Moron Movies. Here they are. That's it. That's it.
If we don't pull a plug in your waist, you'll just be a vegetable, a potato. It's easy to quit smoking with the antagonizer lighter. It works once every 500 times.
so much.
Love to listen to you play. I love to listen to you play. That was beautiful. I was just admiring this. Some Italian admiral die or something?
I'd love to have that for my boat, John.
Yeah?
My boat, that'd be great.
You get kidded about this all the time, and you kind of inured to this over the years, right?
Well, actually, tell you the truth, I was cleaning out my closet.
Yeah?
And I came across this jacket, and I said, you know something? I've only worn that once in my life. On a television special I did on the Queen Mary in Long Beach.
Then I wasn't far off, was I?
So I thought, well, for what I paid for it, I'm going to wear it again.
Yeah, why not? Tell them the story about what happened with the IRS when it comes to clothing. It's interesting from an entertainer's standpoint.
Well, the thing is that...
you spent a lot of money
yes,
for your
quite
wardrobe.
a lot of money on my costumes.
You ever made an estimate of what you spent in a year?
About $1 million. Yeah. Yeah.
This stuff is not off the rack, folks. You don't go in.
So, anyway, the Internal Revenue Service thought that was rather extreme, and...
You put that down as a deduction for professional?
Yes, yes. And they said that I could wear these costumes socially, so therefore they were not totally tax deductible. So I put on the most outrageous one that I could find, and I went down to the IRS offices.
And walked in?
That was marvelous.
And?
Well, they had to get the mounted police to get me out of there.
That's funny. So
but anyway, they're totally deductible now.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, there was a case years ago, and I may be getting the lady's name wrong. I think it's Dinah Shore.
Dinah Shore, yeah.
And what she wears beautiful gowns, and they're very form-fitting. And naturally, they were a business deduction because she's singing in front of the public, always standing at a microphone. And I think the case was, if I remember, if she could sit down in them, they weren't deductible.
Right.
That's right.
Or something like that. It was known as the sit-down rule.
Yeah.
Because they were so tight. And she said, well, I wear these to stand in front of an audience and perform.
Well, that created some concern because I have to sit down in my costume. I haven't learned to play the piano standing up.
I've known you for many years, from the early 50s, when you were over at, I think, KTTV or one of the stations starting out. And there was a period in your career, because I guess maybe the critics got to you, because, you know, they can be cruel sometimes, and they'd talk about the outlandish costumes you wear, which work for you. You know, they work well for you. There was a period in your career where you abandoned them, did you not?
That's right. After, let's see, after the television series,
right,
which lasted from about 52 to 58,
right,
I did another television series in 1958 where I let somebody talk me into wearing Brooks Brothers suits, and they even straightened my hair to make it look like it was very office, office employee look.
Conservative, middle America.
Very conservative. No candelabra, no glass top, no costumes, and the set looked like a mortuary. And the playing was the same. It didn't affect my playing, but the letters that I got from people, they felt they were cheated, you know?
That's strange.
And I would venture to say it was one of the great failures of my entire career. I was very unhappy. I think the audience was very unhappy, and ABC was very unhappy. So I was thrilled when the series ended, and I went to Europe. I took all the fancy costumes with me, and I started all over again. Picked up the pieces, and I stayed away about 6 months. And when I came back, I created enough excitement in England to carry me back to America.
And you were right the first time. There's an old saying, don't improve a hit into a flop, right? You had the thing going, and somebody was going to make it better, right?
Well, I have always believed that a person in show business should do what they do best.
You got it.
And whether people like it or not, what I do best.
Yeah, you sure do. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Thank you, Doc. We're talking with Liberace. Bill Maher is here, Theo Goldsmith. One thing I wanted to mention, Lee, and you told me during the break, you went into Radio City recently, and a little bit apprehensive, as a lot of entertainers are, because they keep saying, you know, New York, sophisticated people, and Radio City is what, 8,000?
Or 6,000.
It's a big house.
Yeah.
You went in for how many shows?
14.
And sold out every single seat for every show.
It was just fabulous.
That's incredible.
And I want to take this opportunity, because it's been since September,
right,
that we first mentioned it on your show.
That's right.
And the next day, just mentioning it on your show, they sold 37,000 tickets the next day.
You're
and
joking.
So that helped a lot to sell 84,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my percentage really won't come to that much. No, that's a remarkable record, because that's a big house, and I can see where you'd be a little apprehensive.
Well, it's they've had some marvelous things in Radio City Music Hall, but on closing day, they gave me a beautiful reception in Rockefeller's private apartment.
Is that right?
And they told me that I had set a 51-year record, the box office in attendance, which
That's
is
incredible.
a great compliment.
That's a great achievement.
And they want me to make it an annual event and do it a whole season every year.
You ought to. You got a lock on it now.
I love it. I just thought it was so much fun. The thing that made it exciting for me, of course, was to use all the facilities that they have.
Right.
All the marvelous
Did you drive on?
elevators.
Did you drive on one of your cars this time?
Oh, I used 3 cars, 5 pianos.
Of course. I was tacky.
The costumes, the elevators, the steam curtain, a dry ice, and the clouds, and the storm, and the rain. But you know what really was the magic moment for me in the show as a performer was at the very last 30 minutes of the show, a piano comes up out of the floor, and it's all Austrian rhinestones. The piano is a fabulous-looking piano. And there's no orchestra, there's just a curtain behind me, and this piano comes up out of the floor, and I sit down and just play whatever the audience wants me to play.
Yeah.
And they joined in, they sang along. It was like I was in somebody's living room.
That'd be a great feeling.
And it was
A very large living room. Speaking of pianos, now, is this our piano, or did you bring this one?
I brought the lid.
You brought the lid. Otherwise, it's our piano.
Otherwise, it's yours.
Is that a good piano?
Yes, it's a very good. It's an SD-10, which is a very fine instrument.
Oh, and the SD-10
A Baldwin.
is my favorite.
Yeah, very good.
I would never sit down at anything except an SD-10. Would you do something else for us?
I'd love to. Can I just tell you, why don't I, of course, I don't have the time, but let me try to recreate those last few moments in the show, and if the audience feels like they want to clap or sing along, that's what happened at Radio City. Shall we try?
This audience may march on you.
All right.
me feel so bad. I didn't want to tell you.
Good stuff. We'll be back with Bill Maher in just a moment.
You made me sad. Oh, my darling.
Okay, Bill Maher is with us tonight. He is a very talented young comedian. Bill's a funny young man. He'll be appearing for the next few weeks on the Disney Channel as a regular sidekick on Steve Allen's Music Room. Also be appearing in Atlanta May 15 at the Punchline and in Seattle May 31st at the Comedy Underground. Would you welcome Bill Maher? Bill?
Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. I always feels good to be here. I'm actually from the East. Anybody? Japan is where I'm from. When I say East, no, New York, I fly back and forth very often. Always go first class. You know, people say, why? It's a lot of extra money. But I'll tell you this, in first class, the stewardesses are prettier. And they're naked. I used to be afraid to fly, honestly, and I met a priest on a plane, this is the truth, who helped me out because he said, you should never be afraid of a crash because life is in God's hands to begin with. If he wants all the people on a certain plane to die, he'll just make that happen. I said, okay, I can buy that, but how does he book them all on the same flight? I kid the Supreme Being. I saw a great show. Did anybody see Jesus of Nazareth on NBC over Easter? Because what a wonderful show, because people may not read the Bible so much anymore. It's great that they can see it on TV, but the way they promoted it, you know, a little tacky. They had, you know, the ad, and the guy says, Jesus of Nazareth starts Sunday on NBC, and then they had the actor playing Jesus go, be there! It's not the way I learned it. I went to catechism, which is where you learn the rules of religion, very young, too young. I used to think original sin meant you had to make up a new one every time. Tell your sins, the priest goes, I'm sorry, that's been done. I used to love that confession. Get it all off your chest without being hit. You could be honest. I was too honest. The priest told me, he said, it's good to be honest. Don't bring snapshots. Thank you. It's a little embarrassing for my parents. But they were cruel to me sometimes. My father could be cruel. He was, for example, our Little League coach, and he traded me. Traded me for a player to be born later. And cash. That really depressed me. No, I kid my father, but whenever I was down or depressed, my father would always be there to take me aside and put his arms around me and tell me, he'd say, son, I just want you to know, life is a swirling, sucking eddy of despair. Filled with small moments of false hope in a never-blackening universe. I say, great, Dad. If you don't want me to have a bike, just say so. I kid my father, but I must say he was always there because he had no job. Just always there. Not so bad if your mother's always around, because, you know, your mother's an easy touch. You can put things over on her, because she's your mom. You know, like when you're sick, you milk it. Come on. Stay in bed week after week after week. You're too weak to move. You have to have a bell to call her up to the room. Ma, ding, ding. Oh, sorry to get you back up the stairs, but Channel 2? Beaver is coming on. I'm too weak to move. And then you wonder why your parents don't trust you. You know, I appreciate my parents so much more now that I'm a little grown up, and I say a little. Because, you know, when I was a kid, my father was always going, you know, you kids today, the kids are crazy. I never understood why he thought we were crazy. But when you get older, you see that. I went back to my high school. First of all, do you know this? In my high school, kids make out in the hallways between classes. I was shocked. I was revulsed. I was jealous. Kissing, and this is a boys' school. And there are kids in my high school with blue hair, which, you know, my father thought it was, I had long hair, or he thought so in high school, and every day I'd come home from school and say the same thing. He'd go, you know, that hair, I can't tell whether you're a boy or a girl. And I used to think, gee, Dad, isn't that bright? One time I came in naked, I said, does this help? And he said no, which hurt me deeply. But the point is, you do come to see your father's point of view, because you realize every generation thinks their kids are crazy. He thought I was crazy with the long hair. I see the blue hair, the punk rock people who, by the way, on Halloween dress up in business suits. I think that's crazy. His father thought he was crazy because they swallowed goldfish or something. Every generation thinks their kids are crazy. I'm sure there were cavemen standing there going, you know, the kids today, with the fire and the wheel. My kids are glued in front of that fire. They watch it 24 hours a day. I never see my kids anymore. I told them, you do your homework, then you watch the fire. They always say, come on, one more log. My day, we didn't have fire. We had to listen to crickets at night. With just crickets, you had to use a little imagination. Kids today, they all want to walk erect. This is the way you walk. Erect, sure, big fad. But it's true, things change so much. I mean, my father would be shocked if he saw my high school day. My father's day, you know, every man wanted to marry a virgin. Nowadays, men are like, virgin? Let Captain Kirk go where no man has gone before. Thank you.
We'll be back in a moment. Stay where you are. Funny as usual. We'll take a break. Cleo Goldsmith will join us. Okay, my next guest is a very lovely young actress who's very well known in Europe. She was in a movie here last year called The Gift, and her latest movie is City Heat, which will be released around Christmas. Would you welcome Cleo Goldsmith? Cleo? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You look a little apprehensive. You ever seen this show before? Know anything about it at all?
I haven't seen it before.
This is the first time?
Yes.
Had you heard about it at all?
I've heard about it a lot, but I have never seen
What do they say about it? Now, you can be perfectly frank with me. Since you haven't seen the show, I've often wondered what people say. What do they say? You're going on the Carson show or the Tonight Show.
What do they say about it? Well, they said a lot of people will watch. That's what they say.
That's true. About 15, 20 million people.
Echo. That's right.
That's about it.
Well, they might have said other things, but I can't remember right now.
I was really fishing for a compliment.
They said you were jolly nice. Is that what you want
jolly
to
nice?
You're jolly nice.
Oh, I am jolly nice. Quite. Where are you from originally?
I'm English.
You're English, but jolly nice. I should have known that. Yeah. They call these kind of shows chat shows in England, don't they?
That's right,
Come on, a chat show. We don't call it that over here.
What do you call it here?
Just a variety show.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, a talk show, but not a chat show.
They say to me it's a jolly nice chat show. That's what they say.
Jolly nice chat show.
Yes.
I like that. Why don't we put that out at night, Fred? A jolly nice chat show. You made a number of pictures in Europe, have you not?
Yes, I've made about 10 now.
Yeah. I've seen pictures of you, and in a lot of the pictures you appear in, you are sans clothing.
I am, without any clothes on, did you say?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I don't wear many clothes in a lot of my pictures.
Why is that?
Well, I suppose because when I began, really, I began not exactly because I was Sarah Bernhardt, but It wasn't exactly my talent which appealed to the first director who hired me. He thought I was kind of pretty, no?
Well, you are kind of pretty, and you have a lovely figure.
In Italy, well, if you're pretty and if you're naked, well, a lot of people go and see you.
Oh, yes. That seems to... that's the thing I live by. If you're pretty and naked... there's a certain attraction right there, I think, in many people.
It just works.
Did you feel comfortable doing those kind of
well, I actually did, really, because I sort of lived, well, I'm not going to say all my life, but I lived a long time in Ibiza. This is the island in Spain, where everybody's naked and everybody has breakfast, lunch, and dinner together naked, you know? And we just live naked. You trot around naked. You're going to have a coffee, tea naked, and everything, you know? And whatever else is included. But let's not go into that.
What do you do when you have sex? You get dressed or what? Thought maybe there's something I didn't know.
No. I didn't want to mention it, but it happens naked.
I've heard about Ibiza. They say it's lovely.
It is. It's really nice. Anyhow, I'd lived like that, and so I didn't have many kind of scruples about taking my clothes off. I thought it was kind of very natural, and so I just trotted on to these various films, you know?
Yeah.
And then it got a bit chaotic because it got, you know, a bit sort of people's reactions a bit over the top about being naked, really. Then everybody talked about nothing else like I'm doing right now.
No, we don't have to talk about that.
And you get interviewed about it and the whole thing gets a bit...
Well, I didn't mean to just be on that subject. Let's talk about something else.
Yes, then.
You've lived in a lot of different places, right? I mean, you seem to have moved around a lot. Any particular reason? You get bored easily?
I've always traveled a lot.
Yeah.
I was born in Paris and brought up in England and didn't feel particular, either English or French or anything in particular. So I just sort of wandered around looking just like that, traveling, really.
Is it true you lived on a kibbutz in Israel?
Yeah, that was an effort. I was leading a particularly silly life at the time, and I thought, well, that I wanted to look for my origins, you know, and look for something a little more, I don't know, something that meant something in life. So
Your roots here.
Roots, something very serious like that. So I set off to this kibbutz. I went straight from Saint-Tropez to this kibbutz in Israel.
That's a big change.
Yes, that was. And I arrived there, and it was just like a nightmare.
In what way?
Well, it was a nightmare because I don't know. I went to a very commercial kibbutz, no, and where I thought I was going to find. I guess I had a kind of rather ridiculous, rather infantile vision of the whole thing. You know, I saw great big fires with wonderful sort of Jews sitting around playing the guitar. I don't know what I imagined. Everybody working very hard for their land. And
Didn't turn out that way?
Well, no, it was just full of kind of, there's an area in London called Golders Green, which is very, very rich, no, and full of Jews. And it was all these people that were sending their kids, you know, on holidays, not to pay them, because like this you don't have to pay. It's very inexpensive holiday.
Like a camp, like a summer camp.
If you send them to a kibbutz, you know. So you get rid of them for the holidays, you know, you pay very little, you've got them out of the way, and they're all sitting about in the kibbutz, and they're extremely spoiled, and none of them want to get up to go, you know, you had to go and pick up the apples in the morning and the oranges, and nobody wanted to get out of bed, and it was just like, it just was a bit
I
of a
assume you
nightmare.
didn't stay there very long.
No, I volunteered to wash up the dishes because I got this terrible enthusiasm as I walked in. And the girl who was washing up the dishes had just fainted, and nobody else wanted to take her place. And so I felt very enthusiastic at the time. And I said, well, I'll do it, you know. It was washing up dishes for 2,000 people. So, well, I just never got
kill
out
a
of
whole
that
day
kitchen.
there, yeah.
So I just spent 2 weeks in this steaming kitchen, just washing up dishes one after the other. It was a very tough job, and they'd warned me not to take it. And so after that, I just couldn't stand it anymore. And I got in the most appalling panic, and all these terrible people, they were dressing up in hot pants and putting on lipstick to go to lunch and things. It was very kind of silly looking. So I dashed off on this hill where there was a telephone box, and I'm desperate, and I called up Rachel Ward, you see.
You booked yourself back to London?
Yeah, Rachel was my great friend, and I called her up and I said, please, you know, do something about this, I'm desperate. And so I went back to, I went to Ibiza.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Keep your eye on the car and the clock. Breathtaking acceleration with handling to match. So don't step on the gas unless you mean it. New Turbo Colt. Imported for Dodge and Plymouth. Built by Mitsubishi. To blast from 0 to 50 in 5.78 seconds. And give you pavement-scorching performance in the lowest priced turbo in America. Now that's an import with a purpose.
It's a widely held belief that men who wear Le Tigre sportswear get widely held.
We just have time for quick good nights. I hope you enjoyed being here.
I certainly did.
You come back
yes.
and see us again when you're here, will you? Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Jack.
Tomorrow night, Mary Hartley, the Funny Boys, and Calvin Trillin will be with us. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Next on Late Night with David Letterman, meet author Gail Parent and singer Randy Newman. All on NBC. Be there.